don't cross my T's. I don't dot my I's. I won't say pretty please, or speaking little white lies. I've got a rebel soul. 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 Oh, just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down. I ain't no thing that you can chain with a ring. And I ain't no price for admiring eyes. I've got a rebel soul. 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 Just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down. I can be good when I wanna. I just don't wanna. I can be good when I wanna. I just don't wanna. I can be a good girl when I wanna. I just don't wanna. I can be good, I can be good, but no. I got a rebel soul. Hey, I've got a rebel soul. I got a rebel soul. Yeah, I've got a rebel soul. Hey, down with it, my rebel soul. Just get down with it, my rebel soul. Just get down with it, my rebel soul. Just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down with it, down with it, down with it, down with it, down. I've got a rebel soul.
Woo! That song puts me in the mood every time. Everyone, how are we? Good evening. Miss Barbara, I am feeling better. Thank you so much. I'm feeling a lot better. That COVID kicked my butt, but I don't think I just had COVID. I was sick. Like with a head cold, and then the COVID hit like the next week. It was weird. So I was like out for like 2 weeks. It was bad. They didn't have a voice for a couple of days. Hi, Lee and Miss Patty. Miss Laura. Mary Carol Hooper. How are you, honey? It's good to see you guys. So we're going to do something a little different tonight. I thought we'd watch the infamous Miss Judge Tammi. I just love her. She's so good. She's so to the point. So I've clipped out of a couple of things here for us to watch so we can get through all of the stalls and the waiting and all that and just get right to it. How about it? Hey, Christine. Here we go.
Morning, I'm Judge Tammi Long Hayward. This is the Clayton County State Court, Courtroom 304. We have a criminal motions calendar today, but prior to that, we have a probation walk-in matter for Alejandro Castillo. Does Mr. Castillo need an interpreter? Courtroom?
No, he doesn't need an interpreter.
Okay, come forward. And I don't think I got the petition since this was an add-on.
Hey,
I don't
Kimmy.
see it. Did somebody send it to me?
Hey, Bama.
Oh, I got it. Hold on. Is this it? Yes. Never mind. Thank you, Mr. Austin. I got it. All right. This is the matter of State of Georgia versus Alejandro Castillo. Mr. Castillo is before the court 019 CR 10418. He was before this court for open container and reckless driving on the 24th day of October 2022, sentenced to 12 months. He has 12 days on probation, and my understanding is he has completed pretty much everything, except he tested positive for alcohol on August 4th of 2023.
Hi, Michelle.
Mr.
Bama.
Cash. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Austin.
New member. I know you like you renewed your
Okay,
membership,
let me
didn't you?
highlight that. All right, Mr. Castillo, raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony that you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand out. So, Mr. Castillo, were you prematurely celebrating getting off probation? What happened?
No, it was for my mother-in-law's 50th. I have obviously been doing good. Have been drinking and everything. It's just that day I messed up. And I mean, I can honestly say it was a huge mistake. That's what happened.
Mr.
It's messed
Austin,
up. It's
can
hard to
you
hear
give me
him.
some background on Mr. Castillo?
Yes, Sean. Mr. Castillo, he came in, he was positive. I mean, not positive. He was, he came through, he got everything completed like we needed to on time. Just this one time, it was his 5th drug screen, he tested positive on it. You know, they're random, so they don't know. And you here today,
And he didn't test positive on any others?
no.
Mr. Castillo. So, Mr. Castillo, usually I expect people who are on my calendar who are restricted from drinking, I expect at least one mess up. Usually it happens right after they get on probation, not right before they're supposed to get off probation, but I usually expect one mess up. Mr. Austin, what's your recommendation in this case? You've supervised him.
Yeah, I know we have to have some type of sanction for the drug screen. I mean, it was 24 hours to serve.
I can't hear you.
I know there's a sanction for drug screen, so the recommendation was 24 hours to serve.
Okay, somebody is working, and I applaud working, really I do, but you gotta mute your device, because that's all I'm hearing is scraping and stuff. Yeah, if you come up. So Mr. Castillo, Mr. Austin is recommending 24 hours to serve. What do you do for a living, sir?
Self-employed. I do construction, remodeling, and build houses. I'm on a project right now. We're doing a basement for a cancer patient and a friend, and I'm helping him out so he can have more rooms for his family. And well, that's what I'm working on right now.
Mr. Castillo, the one thing that saves you is you didn't get a DUI. You tested positive, but you didn't for alcohol, but you didn't come in drunk. You didn't test why you didn't get any other violations. You completed everything. We're gonna call this a wash, and we're gonna go ahead and suspend your probation at this time, Mr. Castillo. Don't, I'm looking at you. I remember faces better than I do names, but when I put the two together, I really have a phenomenal memory. So just don't come before me in this context again. And if you should so happen to fix something at my house, I'll act like I don't know you. All right. So, Mr. Castillo,
That's awesome.
everybody messes up. Everybody needs a little grace every once in a while. But I hope you have learned from this situation that it is costly to pair alcohol and driving.
I have learned a lot, and I have changed a lot since then.
Lyft, Uber, lot cheaper options.
Yeah.
Staying at home. Lot cheaper option. Okay. All right, sir. We'll suspend the probation and it'll terminate upon naturally on, I guess, the 22nd. So,
Yes, Your Honor.
all right.
And I will submit the recall order to you.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Castillo.
He got so lucky.
Good morning, Judge Hayward. Andre Sailors for Devon Senior. We filed a motion to dismiss from one of prosecution. If the state has an objection, then we are ready.
State does have an objection. We are ready.
Okay, I'm not sure. Motion. What did they fail to prosecute?
Well, Judge, this is a case where my client is charged with criminal trespass. He's
Okay.
basically charged with throwing his girlfriend's clothes outside the home. This happened way back in June 9th of 2021, so it's been over 2 years. She signed a waiver of prosecution on June 23rd, shortly after the incident in 2021, basically saying that she wants to drop all charges. She is on the Zoom today. That was Khadijah Kama is the victim. And basically they have a child together, and it's been over 2 years. There's been absolutely no incidents. So we filed a motion to dismiss this case, hoping that the court would dismiss this case because both parties would like to get this behind them.
Ain't no
Well,
Bundo.
I'm not sure where they do that at, but this court does not dismiss because that's not within my purview. I did that once and got appealed, and that's the only appeal that I've lost after 11 years on the bench. So, but I meant to do it. I knew I would lose it, but it was something about jaywalking. But this, I don't dismiss DV cases. That's up to the state. If they want to prosecute, we go forward. If they don't want to prosecute, that's up to them, but they make those decisions, not me.
Judge, there was no violence at all, so we don't consider this a DV case.
I don't care. There's all kinds of forms of intimidation, abuse, all of those things that go into domestic violence. Throwing somebody's clothes out and depriving them of the ability to have clothing can also be a form of violence. So
This attorney, defense attorney, really screws up here, and you can tell she does not like him.
instead of me giving a DV class today, I'm gonna just hear from what the state wants to say, because that a motion to dismiss for warrant of prosecution is that's denied all day, every day.
Hey, Casey.
Additionally, the state believes that possibly there has been some violations of the bond conditions, as there is to be no contact directly or indirectly with Miss Kama. And I don't know where we didn't ask her to fill out this waiver of prosecution.
I asked her to fill it out, Judge. That was from me, from her lawyer.
Sounds
From his lawyer.
good to me.
Mr. Sailors, you're not her lawyer.
His
And
lawyer, I apologize.
I get that, but he can't communicate with her even through a third party. That's in the bond conditions.
He should know
So
that.
Judge,
hold on, sir. If she of her own volition had decided that she wanted to waive prosecution, then she could have made her way to the prosecutor's office and done that. But to be encouraged to do so by the defendant's attorney smacks of witness tampering.
Judge, she was not encouraged. She was asked, and I don't believe the lawyer is considered a third party in the
Oh, he trying to be slick.
case like this.
You got case law on that?
Judge, based on the court's ruling, we'll accept the court's ruling at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors. I'm really, really mindful of the dynamics in domestic relations. I did 4 years in magistrate court, and I've seen more TPOs than you can shake a stick at. I did 38 of them in one day. So I'm well aware of all of the ways that people can influence and encourage and shift people into getting rid of a case, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the case does not have merit. So I'm mindful of that. And just because a case is old you know, a lot of times people will come wanting to dismiss something because of the situation they're in or because feelings have changed. But it's just like I say, for somebody who says, well, Judge, I got insurance now, but did you have insurance on the date that you were pulled over by the police? So if on the date of this incident, there was an incident of violence or intimidation or even anything that makes the elements of criminal trespass, then the fact that time has passed does not mean that a crime did not occur. All right. So Mr. Senior, I believe, Devin Aaron Senior. So Mr. Senior, you are still under bond conditions, sir, unless those bond conditions have been modified to make this a no violent or harassing situation, then you're to have no contact with Miss Kama. I don't care if y'all do have children together. The only contact that would be permitted is through the Superior Court. If the Superior Court were to make an order involving custody or visitation, then that would trump my order. But you're not to have any contact, and I'm not crazy enough to think that you've had no contact. Shoot, y'all might have been cooking up another baby. That's happened before too. But what I suggest to you, sir, is that you go back and read your the content of your bond conditions. And if you don't currently have a copy of it, please proceed to the first floor before you leave this building and request a copy of the bond conditions in your case. And then you'll be mindful of what it says that you can and cannot do, because let me remind you, if you violate the bond conditions, your bond could be revoked. You could spend the rest of the time in jail until such time as your case is resolved. You could also be charged with additional misdemeanors, punishable by up to 12 months in jail, a $5,000 fine, or both, or felonies punishable by up to 10 years in prison or more. Are we clear, Mr. Senior?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So time, as in most things, does not heal all wounds in court.
Hey, Helen.
Judge, we would like this case moved to a trial calendar if possible.
Oh, I would definitely want to move this case to a trial calendar. Ms. Val, it's a 2023 case. It's going to be a minute, but put it on the next trial calendar that's available.
It's going to be a minute.
All right. Anything else at this time?
Nothing from the defense, Judge. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kama, the state will direct you as to what they need you to do. But as far as I'm concerned, you're free to go at this time. Jose J. Trujillo.
Judge, I'm on that case as well. This was a case where we filed a preliminary motion to suppress prior to receiving discovery. We have received discovery and there are no motions needed at this time. So I just asked the case move forward to whatever the next calendar the court wants to put on.
All right, so the motion will be withdrawn. This case, Mr. Jose J. Trujillo, will be on a trial calendar. Mr. Gordon, does Mr. Trujillo need an interpreter?
Why is it not written on my phone? Mr. Trujillo, do you need necesita un interpreter para español?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Val, if you'll note that so that when it goes to trial, we'll be prepared with an interpreter. All right. Damian Wiley. I'm sorry. Mr. White, Justin White.
I'm here. Damian Wiley, I'm here.
Your Honor, I will be arguing the motion. I don't see the officer here though.
Your Honor, the state is moving to no price. Thank you, Attorney Hahn. Oh, also, Your Honor, can we also allow Officer Robinson to be excused? That was from the previous case.
Sure. Officer Robinson may be excused. Any officers here on Wiley may be excused. The court will accept the no pros and will sign it as soon as I receive it. Mr. Watson, I see you, sir, and we'll be going back to your case in a moment. Okay.
Judge, if I may hop in real fast.
Yes, Mr. McCord.
I met with my client and I have a few concerns I'd like to talk to the state about, but I just wanted to let you know we're not going to go forward today. But do you have any idea give me some instructions from here? Are we just going to come back up on another calendar? Is that where that goes?
You'll be on a trial calendar. You're
Okay.
a 2022 case, so we're working really hard to try cases, and we're usually doing for trial weeks, we're doing 2 a week at least. And then we're doing dispositive motions so that, you know, we're clearing 4 to 5 cases a week. So on trials. Otherwise,
back in the day when I was in your courtroom, we were doing 4 or 5 a week, Judge.
I know, right? You know, well, first of all, here's the problem. This whole paradigm of the pandemic has changed the way people
I
think.
know.
So when I say we're gonna call another jury, everybody looks at me like, Judge is insane.
Look, I presided over 300 arraignments yesterday, so I get it.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll put you on a trial calendar. We'll send notice because all our upcoming calendars are set. And then in the interim, you and is this yours, Miss Janvier? Well, I guess it will be yours no matter what, right? So in the interim, you and Miss Janvier can discuss this case and see if a resolution can be had.
Perfect.
Also, if you want it put on a calendar, let us know in time so we can get the services of Mr. Pham for interpretation because he's busy.
We'll do it. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, take care.
All right.
All right. So Mr. Anderson is present. Mr. Watson is now present. Mr. Watson.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning. So my understanding is this is an exemption from an ignition interlock.
Yes, Your Honor. It looks like we had filed this motion. That's correct.
Okay, and this is on a 2013 case. Mr. Anderson, your attorney is here. Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. So I'm going to be asking the state to check and see if we've had any issues since the 2013 CR 06897 for Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson, you are asking for an exemption from the ignition interlocked, and that is due to financial hardship. So, sir, tell me a little bit about what's going on. Are you currently employed?
No, ma'am. I am a disabled veteran.
Okay, well, thank you for your service. All right, and so veterans benefits and benefits due to your disability are what you receive for income?
Yes, ma'am. I receive $1,645 per month. And with income, I pay rents where I stay. And my pay over the years, I've pretty much been paying for transportation as far as Lyft, Uber, and utilizing taxis.
Okay. All right. Do you, I guess you have a household that you support or a help to support?
Well, ma'am, I have family household to support me at this time of need. And as far as me supporting, I support homeless veterans. As far as being a former one myself, due to PTSD from when I came home from Afghanistan, I had issues, and it's over the years, and I can admit to what I had, and I'm doing my best to work on it. And I have currently been doing a lot of work to work on it. Like you can't see, but I've had in-house treatment at the Veterans Administration. I also completed the risk reduction course, state of Georgia, which is updated, and I also still seek treatment at the Veterans Administration.
Now, see, this is what a judge wants to hear. Somebody who's done their part.
It's been a hard struggle, and I understand I have made mistakes in the past, but I want to correct everything and follow the right path, make myself proud of Clayton County and the state of Georgia proud, and go forward, man.
Mr. Anderson, like I said, thank you for your service. I'm a child of veterans. Fortunately for me, I guess neither of them, well, my mom never saw combat, but my dad did in Vietnam. And I appreciate so much of what your struggle has been and what you've gone through, but your ability to overcome and to keep coming back and to keep challenging those things to get better. And so I appreciate that, sir, and thank you. You have served this country well. I do find that there's a hardship. I will grant the ignition interlock waiver. And if your attorney will just send us a prepared order, then we'll go ahead and sign that as soon as we get it. So, Mr. Watson, On my website, you'll find the name of my staff attorney, Ms. Camille Heath Fortson. You can either email her an order or you can file it with the court, and I'll sign it as soon as I get it.
Yes, Your Honor, I will get that done and submit it to you by lunchtime. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, ma'am. And I really appreciate it. You made a big difference in my life.
All right. Well, we appreciate you too, sir.
Likewise.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
You may.
Thank you.
I love him. He makes my heart soft. Oh, how sweet is that?
All right, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any
Hey, Cher.
testimony that you give in this matter will be true, Mr. Tunstall? All right, so sir, you can put your hand down. You understand that we're having video hearings because of the COVID-19 emergency. Sir, do you wish to have your hearing by video?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so sir, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus, it's Jonte Horry Tunstall. Okay, 2020 CR 04603 for 2 counts of criminal trespass. You're represented by Attorney Owen Lynch, who is here on the video with you. And you've had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Lynch, is my understanding. Now, sir, you could enter a plea of not guilty to these offenses. And if you did that, you could have a trial by jury or judge. The maximum penalty, if you were convicted, could be up to 12 months in jail, $1,000 fine, or both. But it's my understanding that you've spoken with Mr. Lynch. Mr. Lynch has spoken with Ms. Hawk or Ms. Hunter, and you have an understanding of what they're going to ask me to do as a sentence in your case.
Hey,
By
Dolly.
entering a plea. What is Mr. Tunstall's plea, Mr. Lynch?
Your Honor, we were going to ask the court to accept his plea of guilty under the First Offender Act. I believe this is the first arrest that he does not have a criminal record of any kind. So,
Dolly, thank you for your part and your son's part and what you've done. God bless you both.
it would be a plea of guilty.
All right.
We would ask Your Honor to take it under the First Offender Act, which I have discussed.
Would it be to both counts?
If the state requires pleas to both counts, then yes.
All right. May I hear from the state on that?
The state is requiring pleas to both counts.
But,
Okay,
Your Honor,
any objection to first offender?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, Mr. Lynch?
I was just going to say, I in this case, I think it would be appropriate to take them both under first offender because they would be able to be joined for the purposes of trial.
Yeah, that's fine. That's my understanding. I was making sure that there was no objection to first offender at all.
And I guess.
All right. So, sir, you're entering a plea of guilty to both counts under the first offender statute. By doing so, sir, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony or evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Tunstall, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tunstall, how old are you, sir?
26.
I'm sorry?
26.
26. Okay. Factual basis, please.
Your Honor, on June 28th, 2020, officers were dispatched to 1525 April Lane, Morrow, Georgia, in reference to a domestic disturbance. They made contact with Mashawn Tunstall, which is also the mother of the defendant, and she advised that there was a verbal disagreement or a conversation. The defendant became upset and irate and began to curse. During that time, the victim was afraid and decided that she wanted to call the defendant's brother. At that time, the defendant took away the cell phone and did not allow that call to be made. Also, there was a wooden chest in the living room, and the defendant flipped the chest, damaging the chest and the items that were sitting on that particular piece of furniture. Once officers spoke with the victim, they then made contact with the defendant, who advised that he fell into the chest and that he was not trying to prohibit the call. At that time, he was placed under arrest for criminal trespass. And
All right, recommendation.
The state's recommendation is 20 days to serve, credit for time served, no violent contact with the victim, and to count one. Count two is 20 days to serve, and it's concurrent with count one.
Okay. Anything, Mr. Lynch?
I would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated, taking into consideration this is his first offense. I think that basically what happened is the situation got way out of control with temper. And so, but being that he does have a clean record, I would ask that the court accept the plea under first offender. I have explained to him that this would be a complete waste of the first offender plea if he were to violate any conditions or get rearrested on an offense during this time.
Hey, Robin. Welcome in.
Let me, if I can.
Yes, Mr. Lynch.
Miss Muhammad, I'm going to send you a message if I can.
Okay.
She seems awfully young.
So while they're doing that, Mr. Tunstall, are you living with your mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you working?
No.
Okay, what's going on with job situation that you're still living with mom?
Well, I was looking for a job. Still, I couldn't find a job. And that was really.
Okay, did you finish high school, sir?
No.
Have you thought about getting your GED?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you need to sign up for a GED class, sir, because you're only going to get older and it's only going to get harder to find a job. There are people who are hiring even in the midst of COVID because they need people for essential services, but it's going to be difficult if you can't get your GED. You understand? And you are too old to be living with mom at this point. Now, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Adults have trouble sharing a house. And if mom is the boss in the house, what she says goes. And you a big old grown man, you don't want to feel like mom is telling you what to do, but it's her house. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So you need to make a plan. That's what I need you to do, is to make a plan about how you're going to get out of mom's house. First, get your GED, then you're going to get a job, and then you're going to get out of mom's house. And you're going to be helping mom. We clear?
Hey, Unseely.
All right, Mr. Lynch, Ms. Muhammad Haq, are we ready?
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page, but everything is the way it should be. I would just ask the court to accept the plea as recommended by the state.
All right, so sir, I'm going to sentence you to 12 months to serve 20 days credit since lockup. And that's on counts 1 and 2 to run concurrent. And this will be done under first offender. Now, Mr. Lynch is not kidding. You can mess up your first offender by not completing this. If you do it, then you won't have a conviction on your record, and it will make getting a job a whole lot easier. Do you understand?
Yes,
An orange jumpsuit is not what you belong in. You understand me?
Yes,
and I'm gonna need you to be respectful to your mom. As long as she's providing you a place to stay, then sometimes you got to suck it up. And if it's getting frustrating for you because you're a big grown man and your mama's telling you what to do, you get up, you say, excuse me, you walk outside, you walk around the block, you take whatever time you need before you can come back into that house and be respectful to your mom. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you can go back with the sheriff's office.
Get him, Judge Tammi.
What's your next client, Mr. Lynch?
She's not playing, you guys. She is not playing.
Raise your right hand for me, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
I do.
All right, so Ms. Gant, you're before the court on state versus Alyssa Dawn Gant, 2020 CR 04565 for theft by shoplifting. You're represented by Attorney Carrie Owens, who's with you at the here in this hearing. Now, ma'am, you understand that because of COVID-19, we're having hearings by video. Do you agree to have your hearing by video?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, you could enter a plea of not guilty. You could have a trial by jury or judge. Maximum penalty, if you were convicted, could be up to 12 months in jail, $1,000 fine, or both per offense. But it is my understanding that you have spoken with Ms. Owens, and you have an understanding of what she's going to recommend. I'm sorry, you've spoken with Ms. Owens. She's spoken with the court, with the solicitor's office, and you have an understanding of what they're going to recommend to the court by entering a plea of guilty to theft by shoplifting. Is that correct, Ms. Owens?
Yes, Judge.
You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor.
Hey,
You
Miss
give up the right to
Santana.
confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Ms. Gant, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Factual basis, please. Is this Ms. Muhammad Haq
It's Miss Hunter.
or Ms. Hunter?
Miss Hunter.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Judge?
I hear you now. Who is it?
It's Miss Hunter.
Can I see you?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Hold on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Do you guys remember when the COVID first hit and everybody was going into Zoom and there were so many people that didn't know how to do Zoom? And while I was clipping some of this, I was thinking about how there were so many TikToks and everything else about people that did like bad Zoom mistakes. That's what some of this reminds me of, because these are from when COVID hit, like really soon, like right as they started shutting stuff down.
Can you see me now?
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Left out of the screen. Okay, on June 30th, 2020, officers were dispatched to the Walmart at 2940 Anvil Block Road, referencing a theft in progress. Upon arrival, they met with the loss prevention officer, Miss Brittany Hatcher. She advised that she observed Alyssa Gant conceal several CoverGirl makeup items and a V-neck t-shirt into her purse. Via surveillance video, she then passed all points of sale without paying for the merchandise. The merchandise totaled $31.65. She was taken into custody and charged with theft by shoplifting. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve 30 days with the balance suspended, with the condition that she does not return to Walmart and that she commits no further violations of the law. She is currently on 3-year probation out of Coweta County, and she pled guilty to a theft by taking on April 2020 out of Fulton County.
Miss Owens? Miss Owens?
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. We would just ask that the court accept the recommendation. I've spoken about this case in detail, and Ms. Gant does wish to resolve the case. I believe she is from Alabama and is wishing to go back there upon release.
Miss Gant, how old are you?
I'm 39.
Do you have children?
I have an 8-year-old.
I'm sorry?
I have an 8-year-old son.
Who's taking care of him?
My mother.
So, Miss Gant, let me explain. You are way too old for this.
Yes, ma'am.
Your charges are theft, and then I'm expecting in the midst of a pandemic to hear that you were stealing food, but you're stealing makeup. and clothes. And it's not funny because while you're in here, your mother, who, if she's older than me, she don't want to be bothered with your 8-year-old. I'm just gonna be honest with you. She wants to be free to live her life, especially in the stress of these days and times. And you don't get to stop being a mama because you're making irresponsible choices.
Hey, Judy and
You're
Debbie.
35 years old. Your son has to be able to look up to somebody. What does he say when somebody says, well, where's your mom? Who's tucking you in at night? Who's making sure that you're not afraid of COVID? Who's making sure that you have somebody who's with you there all day? Well, my mom's in jail because she steals makeup. You have got to be more responsible. He doesn't deserve this.
No, you don't.
And this is not the first one. If this was a one-off, as the British say, I might think, well, you know, the stress or something's going on, but this is your pattern. This is what you do. I'm going to need you to stop being selfish and start thinking about your son and not just about yourself. Makeup and a t-shirt. Do you have a substance abuse problem?
Yes, I do.
Have you sought any help for it?
That's what I'm going to Alabama for.
What's going on in Alabama?
I'm going home to be with my mother and my son.
Why you got to bring Alabama into it?
Okay, but you can't just go be with your mother and your son and then cause problems for them there.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to make a commitment to seek help. You need to seek out.
I'm going to be going to NA meetings, and I'm going to get back in church and all that.
Bless her heart. Well, maybe it was bad shoplifting, maybe it was CoverGirl, or maybe it was Maybelline, Unseelie.
Okay, you also need to start attending either Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous. Do you understand me?
NA, that's what NA is.
Because those are people who are going through what you're going through. They may be a little bit further ahead in the recovery process and can help you. But the issue that you're going to have is you have to make sure that you make a commitment to get this done, because your son does not need to grow up knowing that his mom chooses to be away from him because she makes irresponsible decisions.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, there's substance abuse I can see, but you've got to make the decision to get treated for that.
Yes, ma'am.
The hardest thing is to walk into that first meeting.
Oh, I won't help. I'm on it. That's why I'm going to Alabama.
But don't go to Alabama and be a problem for your mom who's already taking care of your son.
I'm not.
All right, so I'm going to accept your plea. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 30 days. The balance will be suspended as long as you don't go to any Walmart in Clayton County. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, and you'll get credit since the date of lockup. But I want you to seriously think about when you go back to that jail cell, think about not yourself, but think about what goes through the mind of an 8-year-old little boy who doesn't have his mother in these uncertain times.
Yes, ma'am.
And because he's with his grandmother, I'm assuming the father's not available either.
He's dead.
He's what?
Dead.
He's dead?
Mm-hmm.
So you are the only parent this child has. If something happened to
Sad.
your mama and she wasn't able to take care of your 8-year-old son, he would be alone in the world.
Yes.
And I say this because I mean for you to think about it. If it causes you to cry, I'm sorry, but I mean for you to think about the impact of your decisions on your child. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is not fair to him.
Bless her heart, but still.
So make a commitment right now,
Oh,
if
these
not to
people.
yourself, to your 8-year-old son, who, if you're not good, then he's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're all he has.
And how's that kid going to end up turning out?
All right, 30 days balance suspended as long as you don't go back to any Walmart in Clayton County. You can go back with the sheriff's office at this time.
Woo! Thank you so much, Miss Janice, for your super chat. You're so kind.
On a petition for revocation of probation, you can put your hand down. State of Georgia versus Megan C. Jones, 2019 CR 07146. And it's a petition for adjudication of guilt and imposition of sentence in a first offender case. You're represented by attorney Thomas Florio, who's present. So ma'am, you understand because of COVID-19 that we're doing hearings by video. Do you agree to have your hearing by video? All right, so generally in a probation hearing, your attorney will speak on your behalf, okay? But if there's anything that you need to say, just let Mr. Florio know that you'd like to say something, okay? All right, so you were before this court on the 15th day of October of 2019, sentenced to 12 months on probation under first offender and for theft of services. It says that you have 9 months and 13 days remaining on probation. Your sentence was told, meaning we stopped your sentence from running because we lost track of you. You are charged with the following violations by probation. That you violated criminal law by getting arrested on July 10th of 2020 with the new offense of theft by deception and bad checks, new offenses, I'm sorry, in Clayton County. Failure to report to court, that you failed to report on December 31st of 2019 for a revocation hearing. You failed to report to probation to check in on October 24th, October 29th, November 19, November 26th, December 3rd, and December 18th of 2019. You last reported on October 31st of 2019. You failed to provide proof of completing an anti-theft course. You failed to complete community service. You were ordered to do 40 hours. You've documented 0 of the 40 hours, and you failed to pay. You have a total arrearage of $290. And Mr. Florio, do you wish to make a statement on behalf of your client?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. Judge, I've spoken extensively with Ms. Jones and her mother and her boyfriend about this case. And obviously I've spoken with Ms. Hunter and Ms. Jones as well. Your Honor, essentially what I believe happened is that Ms. Jones tendered a plea before the court. And I think she was in a position, it was a kind of two separate issues. The first was a money issue. The second was that she was pregnant. And I don't think any of us would, disagree that she handled both of those situations very poorly. Essentially what happened was she found herself in a position where she didn't have money for probation. And instead of doing what I tell every client, just have good communication, talk with probation, talk with the judge. Instead of doing that, I think she got scared. In addition, she's intimated to me that she was pregnant when she tendered the plea, and she was put on bed rest on November 11th. I don't think that she communicated that as well as she should to Officer Chang, because I know Officer Chang, and it's always been my experience with Officer Chang that she's very reasonable and certainly willing to work with folks. I think Ms. Jones, because this was a first offender case and she's never been on probation before, instead of understanding that communication is oftentimes key, she obviously did not communicate as well or effectively as she should. And instead of just, facing it head on and talking, I think she kind of buried her head in the sand. And so she went on bed rest in November. That manifested itself, Your Honor, in her giving birth on June 29th. And so she, within the last, or just over 3 weeks ago, she did give birth. She was arrested on July the 10th. So her child being 11 days old, Ms. Jones was taken into custody.
Hey, Teresa.
She's been incarcerated, obviously, since the date of arrest, since June the 10th. And that was part of the reason why I reached out to Ms. Hunter as early as I did was, certainly there are certain physiological issues and certain biological issues that arise when a woman gives birth. There's certain medical care and medical attention and medical treatment.
This is so funny, you guys. Listen to how he struggles with this.
That, a woman, especially a woman who has a natural delivery, would hope to receive. And a woman who is feeding her, I'm sorry, I know this is very awkward, but a woman who's also feeding her child, there are just certain biological issues that
it's
come
breastfeeding, Mr. Florio. It's
yes,
okay.
Yes,
It's
and so you know, I've spoken with Ms. Jones about that. I believe that to that extent, I mean, I believe, you know, I mean, there are certain visual manifestations that I personally have been able to observe on Ms. Jones's clothing, which lead me to believe that she is being honest about some of the physiological issues that she's having while incarcerated in the jail and her inability to resolve those issues. And I know that there's issues with her child, her little girl, you know, essentially being raised at this point by the child's grandmother, because the child is in the care of Ms. Jones's mother, who's having to provide for what's now a 3-week-old child. The
Hey,
allegations,
Nancy.
the criminal law violations, Your Honor, are, it's essentially, the allegation is that Ms. Jones had rented an apartment. She rented the apartment at the end of last year. So essentially when all this happened, she wrote a rent check, and the rent check bounced. And her rent was such that, you know, it rose to the felony level. But that's the allegation, is that she wrote a rent check that bounced. And she was ultimately evicted from that home and found herself homeless for an extended period of time while she dealt with the pregnancy. She's in a different position today. Prior to being arrested, she was able to obtain employment, and we believe that employment is still available to her. Also, her mother has stepped up and is a lot more present and involved in her life than I think her mother was originally. And so this is not a situation where Ms. Jones was trying to handle everything on her own. And Ms. Jones had a 1-year-old son. And so it was basically her and her 1-year-old son. And she felt like she was trying to handle it all on her own without the financial resources to do so. Her mother, her boyfriend's mother have both stepped up, and they're present financially. And you know, they're present to help however they can. You know, I've seen the petition, and I know that the petition is really bad. I'm not going to act like it's not, Judge. I get it. I mean, the allegations in it are really bad. I mean, we get that. And Ms. Jones and I have talked about that extensively. I believe that probation is asking for an extended period of time in custody and incarceration. And to be fair, Ms. Fernandez is not nearly asking for as much time as she could be asking. But I know that, you know, there is an extended period of time. And I'm not going to say that's unreasonable, except for the situation that Ms. Jones finds herself in with a child at home, literally a 3-week-old child at home.
Does she have a bond on the felony charges?
Your Honor, I've been in contact with the district attorney's office, and part of the resolution in getting bond was the district attorney's office wanted to see what Your Honor did this morning. I do believe that the district attorney's office would be inclined to grant bond based off the allegations. She doesn't have criminal history, and she has no prior convictions. This case being her first offender case, she doesn't have any prior convictions. So I do believe the district attorney's office is inclined to set bond, but they wanted to see what the outcome was of court this morning.
Okay, and how long, I mean, what date was she arrested on this offense, on the probation violation?
It was
July the 10th.
July 10th?
Yes, ma'am. She's been in custody 11 days. I would ask Your Honor, and I get probation objecting, but I would ask Your Honor, she still has 9 months, 13 days left on probation. I would ask Your Honor to remand Ms. Jones back to the original order of probation so that she can complete her probation. Part of the reason for that, Your Honor, is that she and I have talked about the first offender, and the first offender is important to her. And I know that her actions up until this point are not indicative of that. But, you know, when she and I talked about jail time and losing first offender, as opposed to 9.5 months on probation and completing every term and condition and having first offender, I mean, I think she would rather go back on probation and save her first offender so that she doesn't have this theft conviction on her record. And so I would ask Your Honor to remand her back to the original order of probation with credit for the 11 days that she's been in custody. I would ask Your Honor not to revoke her first offender. I understand the petition and what's alleged in it. Ms. Jones understands the petition and what's alleged in it. There's certainly enough time for her to complete everything as quickly as possible. Certainly enough time for her not to, for Your Honor to put her back in jail with, I think, everyone's understanding that if she were to be revoked a second time, it would be for the balance of her sentence. No questions asked. It would be a full revocation with every day available to the court having been taken from her. And so that's what I would ask, is that she be remanded back to the original order of probation with credit for the time that she served. And Judge, a large part of that being because she did just have a child 3 weeks ago, and there's a 3-week-old child without its mother. And obviously the conditions in the jail are such that they make it difficult for a young lady just having given birth to that she probably should receive.
Well, he's fighting for her, I have to say that.
You know, I understand the position that we're in, and you know, I think Mr. Florio has done a great job with that. The problem I have, Your Honor, is that Ms. Jones, I don't know if you recall when she was here before, she was the defendant that passed the fake receipt from Crab Hut. And so it just appears to me that, you know, she hasn't really taken responsibility for anything that she does. Because my position is, if she was concerned about not losing the first offender, she would not have committed a new offense. Then the position would have just been, you know, I was on bed rest, I was at home, I was pregnant, I could not. I mean, I believe she still could have called somebody. You know, I didn't come in, but not only is she not reporting, not only did she not complete the class, not only did she not complete the community service, she's committing felonies. So just to say she's been in jail for 11 days, and let's just, you know, give her credit for time served and put her back on probation when she wasn't even in compliance, to have someone monitor her, I don't think that is still giving her time to be accountable and responsible for her actions. So that's the state's position, Your Honor.
Ms. Fernandez?
Yes, Judge. I am going to recommend 60 days, give her credit since the date of lockup, which would be July the 10th, and revoke first offender. I don't believe she is a candidate for probation.
All right, so Ms. Jones, let me talk to you for a minute. How old are you, ma'am? 22? So I was in court, it was my court, so I was there the day that you came in on this charge, and I remember you sitting in court, everything done, hair done, nails done, all prettied up, and you sat there, and I remember watching the solicitor, at the time, I guess he was the deputy solicitor, go back and forth to try and check out the story that you had given to the solicitor's office about the original charge and the receipt. And then I had the opportunity to look at the receipt where you alleged that you actually paid for the meal, but it wasn't from the restaurant that was alleging the theft. So the receipt was a horrible forgery, which you tried to get away with by telling not one solicitor, but 2 solicitors a lie as you sat in court, and then handed them a fraudulent piece of paper. I recall that. Ma'am, you are one of the most irresponsible people I have seen recently.
Boom.
You have your hair done now and your nails done now. Somehow you could go get those beautification things done, but you couldn't call probation over the course of the many months that you had to do that since 2019 to let them know what your situation was, number one. Number two, you had a child and you were already struggling. Then you went and had another child so that your mama can raise these children. And that's irresponsible.
It's not that.
Yes, ma'am.
I promise it's not. I was just in a bad place at a bad time. I didn't have the money. I was afraid. It was my first time being on probation. I knew I had to.
Ma'am, you lied before then. I watched you sit in court and hand them a receipt that turned out to be as fraudulent as 2 left feet. So you have a mindset that you're going to appeal to people and get away with things. Now, the rent check, I can probably understand a little bit because you might have been in a situation where, you know, I need a place to stay. I'm in distress. But what I'm saying to you is you don't seem to have learned anything, because before the check was ever written for rent, you had months in which to participate with probation and come in and ask questions. Had you asked any question, Everybody can tell you that I do not arrest people for not being able to pay. But I do want you to keep up with your probation, make sure that you check in. And this is what I say when I put people on probation. The quickest way to get rearrested is to not report to probation. That's part of my speech. I've memorized it. I can say it in my sleep. And so I know I told you the quickest way to get rearrested is to not report to probation. I didn't say the quickest way to get rearrested was to not pay. At 22 years old and the mother of 2 children, ma'am, it is time to grow up. And as much as I don't want to penalize an 11-day-old baby, you did not think about the health and safety of your children before you embarked on these many different issues. I can't hear you, ma'am.
So I was just such a bad place, and I apologize to everybody in Clayton County. But I promise I have learned my lesson. I've been taken from my baby, and I promise that is the hardest thing about it.
Is that what it took for you to become responsible?
No, but
it seems so, ma'am. You have been on probation since last year in October, and you have failed to make any effort to do anything on probation. It's like you thought it didn't apply to you.
No, I didn't. No, I was
Just like you sat there and you looked those solicitors in the eye as I watched them walk back and forth to try and verify your story, because they were willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. And once that failed and you were put on probation, which is also giving you the benefit of the doubt. If I wanted to, I could have put you in jail at that time, but I didn't. I gave you the opportunity to work with your probation officer to go through the steps that I had said. You didn't even take the theft prevention course.
Oh, shouldn't do anything.
And then you're charged with felony theft.
I've been so irresponsible, and I take responsibility.
Yeah, you have been, ma'am.
And I take responsibility for my actions. I promise. And like I said, I apologize to everybody.
All I'm looking at right now is a person who has hair done and nails done, but can't do anything on probation that I've ordered, and that's been almost since October.
I have a job. I have people helping me out. Then before I was alone, I was homeless. I didn't have nowhere to go just because my parents said something. I promise you that's not my story. I've been through so much, and I'm so sorry that I present myself as if I have more than what I have, but I promise you I'll let go.
It's not that you present yourself, it's that you are willing to lie to manipulate, which I watched you do. And then when you were given the opportunity to do the probation the way I assigned you to do it, you didn't do that either. Now I get you may have been put on bed rest in November, and as a person who's had a difficult pregnancy, I get it. But prior to that, when you were sentenced, you didn't do anything then either. You were sentenced in October.
According to one time in October, after that, I found out that I had to pay. I knew I didn't have money. I knew I was homeless. I was trying to look for a place to live.
And none of that did you tell us? You didn't tell any of that to Ms. Chang or Ms. Fernandez?
I mean, who wants to
You were what? Did you say you were embarrassed?
Yes, who wants to go?
Okay, Ms. Jones, please, Ms. Jones, you're talking about embarrassment versus going to jail and leaving your children.
I didn't know this.
The embarrassment should have been from when you picked up the charge and you got convicted. After that, it's all about getting it done and making sure you're there for your children. What embarrassment? You're going to walk away from a court sentence and know that the consequences that you could go to jail and leave your children because of embarrassment? That is the height of immaturity.
No, and I'm trying. I'm growing each day, I promise. I'm growing.
Ms. Jones, okay, so you're telling me you're trying, you're telling me it's different, you're telling me you have help, and Mr. Florio has spoken extremely eloquently on your behalf. But when did the turnaround come? when they started talking about 60 days in jail?
Oh, the turnaround case.
Because you had to be arrested before you could even communicate with the court. Instead of calling and saying, hey, I'm on bed rest. Instead of calling and say, hey, I've had a baby. Instead of saying, hey, I'm having my doctor fax you all something that says I'm on bed rest. Instead of saying I'm homeless and I need help and I can't, this is the situation I find myself in. You have done none of those things.
I know, ma'am, but when I was officer came to my house and she had let me know that I had a warrant out for my arrest due to failure of probation. Okay, she understood my circumstances. She seen my stuff was in the rain and me and my son were out on the road. She said, ma'am, I know that you're pregnant. I know that you have a 1-year-old baby and I'm just gonna let you go, but you need to lay low. So ma'am, I promise you I was gonna turn myself in once I had my child.
Okay, so if a law enforcement officer told you to ignore a warrant and lay low, that person is probably gonna lose their job.
See, I think she was lying when she said that.
So when I look and see who served that warrant, then we're gonna have a conversation.
I don't want anybody to get in trouble. She was just trying to help me out.
Because right now I feel like you're lying to me again.
No, I swear to God, I'm not lying. I'm scared of my life. We were out in the rain and she looked at me and she said, ma'am, you've already going through a lot. I don't want to keep putting you through so much. And she let me go and I'm so sorry that I told. But all she was trying to do was help me. And I don't want to get her in trouble because literally that's all she was trying to do was help me and my baby. And Judge Hayward, I promise you, I've learned my lesson. And I will never, ever be back in front of you again. I will serve 9 months. I will play what I need to do. I will do the 40 hours. I will do whatever it takes. But my baby girl, she really needs me. I'm leaking breast daily. I'm engorging. Like, I don't get the proper sanitary napkins to take care of myself. It's just, I am so sorry.
And in a week, I'm going to need a nail fill in.
And I mean that with everything in me. It will never happen again. I can't change what I did in the past, but I can change what I do now. And I promise you, with everything in me on my babies, you will never have to see me again. I promise. Just please, just give me one more chance. Just grab me the opportunity. I'm only 22. I've been through so much. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Judge,
sorry.
if I may, I do have some notes here for Ms. Chang. She did miss her original initial office contact. Ms. Chang did contact the defendant. She said that she was in the hospital and that she can provide proof. She was given another date to report. She failed that. She failed to report for car trouble. So she finally came in. She did advise Ms. Chang she had a job and that she was also in the process of buying a home and was expecting to close within that next week, and provided Ms. Chang with the address to that a new home. After that, in November, I believe that's when she was on bed rest for about a week. Ms. Chang contacted her. She said she was no longer on bed rest. That was on November 27th. She was given 2 appointments after that. She failed to report. That's when Ms. Chang served her for court by mail.
And in my defense, I never received the court by mail. I never received a lockbox since I was only.
Ms. Jones, stop talking, ma'am. Ms. Jones, I think at this point, I think you have had what I like to call a get over mentality, that you were gonna, Ms. Jones, stop talking. That you would be able to talk your way out of whatever situation. Now that I'm finding my probation officers have reached out to you and given you chance after chance after chance, and every chance you blew because you weren't going to comply with the court's orders. And I feel sorry for your child, but not because of what the court will impose as a sentence, but because you're irresponsible enough as a parent that you don't put them first, that you have risked going to jail because you haven't made any attempt to comply with all of the chances that you've had to do what it is that you were asked to do. Now, If a male came in here and didn't plead on his behalf that he was a, you know, was a new parent and he had all of these things going on, I'm not inclined to show you any deference because you're a new mom, because you knew that's what your plight was. You knew you had children relying upon you, and every chance that you had to do something different, you didn't. No, I don't think you take being a parent seriously. You haven't shown the court that, because after every opportunity you've been given to do better, to comply, multiple opportunities, you haven't done it. And
Yeah, Debbie. And you know what the thing is? She's so young. She thinks that what she's been through has been a lot. She has her mother taking care of her child. It's like, really? She doesn't even know. She hasn't even gotten there yet.
it's as easy as, if you were on bed rest, ask the doctor's office to fax something to Ms. Chang. She asked you to do that. She's given you other opportunities to come in. So I'm not inclined to, I'm looking at the charge, and from the charge that I have, I don't know that I would do 60 days, but I will do 30. And I'll give you credit since the date of lockup. Miss Jones, listen to me. Stop talking. Listen. Miss Jones, from this point forward, you're going to have to grow up and realize that you're a mother with 2 children dependent upon you. And you can't have that mentality of, I'm just going to take and not ever be responsible for what I'm doing. That's just not acceptable. So at this time, the court is going to revoke 30 days. My understanding is you have issues that will be dealt with from upstairs with the felony court. Based on your lawyer's representations, I will accept that you have admitted violations to terms and conditions of probation, but to the technical conditions only, not to the new violations. So it will be noted on the probation revocation that this is for the technical conditions of failing to report, failing to pay, failing to take the anti-theft course. And then you'll still maintain your innocence with respect to the new charges before the felony court. Upon service of the 30 days with credit since the date of lockup, then this case will be dismissed. Anything else on behalf of your client, Mr. Florio?
Judge, with respect to the first offender adjudication of guilt, is Your Honor also revoking your first offender?
That's the one concession I will make, which I often do. I'll give her the first offender because at this point, I'm making her serve time. So I'll give her the first offender. I'll let her keep that at this point.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
That sounds like somebody's fax machine or something, old-timey fax machine in the background. Am I muted? Yeah, buying a house, getting a job, buying a house, having a baby, getting her beauty on, but can't call her probation officer on her iPhone. Does sound quite fishy. Tally said I would be horrible. Let me take this down. I would be horrible in a jury. I'd believe what everyone that says. I think I'm the same way too. I'm very vulnerable when it comes to that. Not vulnerable. What's the word? My mom used to tell me I was this way. I can't think of what it was. Too trusting. There's another word for it though. It sounds like she is used to getting away with everything. Yeah, her mom's taking care of the baby. Hey, Artie from Detroit, Michigan. Good to see you. Yeah, that's a good point. Why does she, if she's a new mom and she's really dedicated to that baby, why is she so worried about what her hair and her nails look like? Because she should just be at home taking care of the baby, not worried about that kind of thing. She should be worried about what's going on with the baby. Gullible. That's the word. Thank you, Judy. Naive. That's another one. Yeah. 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 So I wouldn't be a good juror. But I was watching one of the opening statements the other day on a trial to see if something I wanted to cover. And the probation officer, or not the probation officer, the prosecutor got up there. And I was like, oh, wow, this guy's so guilty. He is done. And then the defense attorney got up and did his opening remarks. I was like, oh, well, yeah, maybe. I fall for it every time. Yeah, she does need to be paying her mama for watching her kids. Yeah, exactly. I want to go back and talk about some of these things you guys did. Thank you for renewing your membership, Bama Green Eyes. I appreciate you. Kimmy wants to do a ladies stream with champagne and silk PJs and just indulge in the eye candy on YouTube. Kimmy. Girl, you are not right. I love it, though. I love it. Thank you again, Miss Janice, for your kind super chat. You're so nice. And Judy had something she was telling us earlier, and I didn't want to. They were in the middle of doing a case, so I didn't want to interrupt the case because I wanted to talk about this. But you remember how earlier I was saying, remember when Zoom first came out, when COVID shut down everything, everybody was going to Zoom, and there were a lot of people on Zoom that didn't know what the heck they were doing, right? But there were also a lot of people that they were okay technology wise, but they forgot that their camera was on or their sound was on or whatever. Judy says in 2021, I was taking a Zoom class at a college. There were 20 people, and all of a sudden the instructor stopped the class. There was a woman having her hair dyed during the Zoom class. The instructor flipped out. Well, let me ask you a question. Was she at the salon having it done, or was she doing it at home? She said it was hysterical. The instructor was so pissed and went off on her, saying, you can't give 3 hours of your time to concentrate on the class. She got a warning, but her hair did look good. And then Cher always has the greatest stories. You're in Tennessee? Is that right, Cher? The things that happen around your home. Cher got bit by a snake earlier this year, you guys. Huh. But anyway, she found an old man naked in the middle of the road screaming help yesterday. She said, I love my community. At least 30 cars blocked the 4-lane, and all of us jumped out to help. He's back home and safe. Oh, my goodness. That is so funny. It's sad, though, because there are some people out there that's one thing I'm like coming across is watching all these videos with Judge Tammi. There's a lot of sad cases that are it's a mental health thing. It truly is. You could tell it is. I don't put all those up. There's a lot of them I don't put up because of that, because it's just sad. Cher said everybody in her neighborhood has guns, or everybody in her community has guns. Do y'all know what I got for Christmas from my cousin? It was a pink Daisy BB gun. And guess what? I don't really, the only thing I've ever shot is like a little handheld BB gun, or a pellet gun or something. But yeah, so we went out and put some cans up, and I did my little shooting range thing, and I'm actually pretty good. I was surprised. Cher said this defendant, the lady that stole the makeup, this defendant doesn't understand the importance of foundation. Bump. Yeah, you're going to go out and steal CoverGirl. Girl, you better go to the mall and steal some Clinique or something a little bit better. Come on now. What are you doing? Kimmy said, I know this judge is so tired of lecturing these people, but she also has the hope that her message will penetrate and these people will turn their life around. That's what I like about Judge Tammi, is because you could tell she cares so much about what she's doing. And she really does believe. I mean, think about it. If they're going to listen to anybody, they're probably going to listen to her. She's got their their fate right there in the palm of her hands. So if they're ever gonna listen, that would be the time they were gonna do it. Half these people that have these issues aren't listening to their parents. Let's just face it. It's fixing to get really cold here over the weekend, y'all. I'm not good with technology either, Elizabeth. I suck at it. Like for me to learn how to use YouTube and do video editing and all that, it took me a lot. It was a lot. That's when I learned how to do video editing, or when I actually had the time was when COVID hit. Cher is the original gangsta. She is crazy. Crazy KC, you're absolutely right. Hey, y'all, give a big thank you to Crazy KC for helping mod tonight. We appreciate you as always, honey. Cover Girl got coupons. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh, y'all are not right. Do y'all want to watch another Judge Tammi? I got another one. It's about 30 minutes long if y'all want to watch it. Let me pull it up real quick. Sure. I'm going to answer for myself. Yes. Patty said yes. I was gonna make a group decision call. Let's see. What's the name of this one? Failure to comply. This is my failure to comply one.
So, Mr. Keels, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus William Andre Keels, 2019 CR 08543. You pled guilty to simple battery family violence on the 20th day of September 2019. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation, and you have 6 months and 19 days remaining. The sentence was told because we lost track of you. You're represented by counsel today, Ms. Dominique Hadley, who's appearing by video with you. Sir, because of the COVID-19 emergency, do you agree to have your hearing heard by video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's alleged that you violated the law by being arrested for the new offense of possession of a firearm by a felon and first offender probationer, possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime, VGCSA, use or possession of a drug-related object, and possession of marijuana 1 ounce or less on April 27, 2020, while in Clayton County. You failed to report on February 18th for a revocation hearing. That's on February 18th of 2020. You also failed to report on September 30, November 23rd, and January of 2019, and January 7th of 2020. In fact, it is noted that you have never reported to this court's probation. Failed to comply with counseling. You were ordered to do a family violence intervention program, and you failed to pay. Your current obligation is $475.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Hadley, what do you have on behalf of Mr. Keels?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Mr. Brazil keeps getting kicked off.
That's okay. He'll check in as needed.
Okay, so this is my client, Mr. Keels. Let me paint a slightly different picture, though still not a great one.
I like Miss Hadley. She's so cute and she's so upbeat.
Mr. Keels didn't do the sheriff escort to get his things. He went himself. He now knows that that's not how it was supposed to go. In doing that, the alleged victim in his previous case ended up literally stabbing him in the back. And she's now been charged with aggravated assault. She's in jail, blah, blah, blah.
You mean like physically stabbed him with an object?
Yes, he was stabbed.
Okay.
Instead of going to the hospital, his mom is a nurse, so he spent a few months recovering from that at home. And he did maintain his job, and it was his mindset that he didn't want to lose everything while that was happening. I spoke to him. He said he didn't try to deprioritize probation. He just didn't want to lose his job while recovering. Additionally, we're not going to speak to the pending charges, which sound really bad, innocent till proven guilty.
He hasn't had any hearings or court dates on that. He does have a co-defendant in that case as well. And
So did he knew he was on probation because I pronounced it during the sentence, correct?
No, that's not coming from me, guys. That's coming from the stream. I don't have any noises going. It's very quiet right now. Even Bruiser's being quiet.
he knew he was on probation, yes.
So he never let us know he had been stabbed and may have a medical issue. He never let us know that.
He let Mr. Austin know very late. So I'll say that. He told him maybe January or February or even later. And at that time, Mr. Austin told him to turn himself in. So he did. And now we're here. Mr. Keel has spoken to me. He understands that he didn't do everything correctly. He
did nothing correctly.
Everything. He didn't do everything correctly. And he is well, I'll let Mr. Austin speak to what he wants. But he is, unfortunately, he does want to maintain his job. He has things to do outside of this. He probably wouldn't keep his job for much longer. And he does have a sister who has tested positive for coronavirus who he wants to tend to in Detroit. I'll let Mr. Austin speak to what he wants.
So you're saying.
So you guys really think this guy's really worried about his sister? Look at him.
Now he wants to leave to go to Detroit.
Yes, just a visit.
Okay, why would he need to go to Detroit when he needs to stay here to avoid going to the hot spot?
He wants to visit his.
I'm muted. I was muted, wasn't I? Was I just muted? That's Mr. Austin. He's a probation officer to Kimmy. Yes, and he's very, very, very handsome. And earlier he had a suit on, and so you must have missed it. It's in one of the first videos we watched, so you have to go back and look at that.
Relative.
How old is Mr. Keels?
Mr. Keels, how old are you?
27, man.
27?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, that seems to be today's magic number. Do you have children, Mr. Keels?
I recently got in contact with somebody. They tell me that they haven't had a period, so I'm expecting one. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But I wasn't saying that I want to leave. I just wanted to visit my sister. I'm not. Like I said, I never tried to avoid you all. I actually have my stomach at $400 fine. It never was about avoiding you all. It's just about I was homeless. I didn't have nowhere to go. The only thing I had was my job. The only thing I was trying to do was get my clothes. The person I tried to get my clothes, she was arrested here for aggravated, which I might still have to be subpoenaed to that. Once I learned of the instruction for leaving the scene, that's when I reported. I called Mr. Austin. He even spoke with my mom himself. I was never trying to avoid nobody. I was never trying to get over anyone. I have the money to pay the fine. I have that on my books right now. It wasn't never about that. I just was I let somebody destroy my life, basically.
Okay. Miss Hadley, have you spoken to Mr. Austin?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Austin, do you have a recommendation for the court?
I do, ma'am. Since the defendant is only going forward on the technicals, it'll be probation's recommendation to serve 60 days, and after the completion of 60 days, this case will be closed.
Ms. Hadley?
Yes, Your Honor. Defense is requesting less time if possible.
Because
he needs to keep his job, Judge.
You guys, Kimmy's going to go over to Clayton County, Georgia and commit a crime just so she can have Mr. Austin as her probation officer.
Well, even on the technicals, Ms. Hadley, he didn't do what was necessary to let us know if there was an accommodation that needed to be made. The man was stabbed. Presumably, if what you're telling me is true, then he could have come in or presented, his mama could have presented the information. We could have accommodated that. If it was another accommodation that needed to be made, had he communicated with the probation office when he first started, like he never came and said, hey, I'm here to report to probation. He never made himself available. And so now he wants us to accommodate him after he's ignored the court since last year, since he was sentenced.
Yes, Your Honor.
So he can keep a job when he probably would have been almost finished with this probation had he been actively working on the probation. Because if he could be stabbed in the back and still go to a job, he could have come to probation.
Well, he was homeless, so I think.
So he was stabbed, he let his mama take care of it, but he was homeless. So his mama wasn't really taking care of him, but he was still going to work. I'm confused.
No, I'm not saying I was stabbed to the point where I couldn't work. I was just stabbed and my mom cleaned the wounds for me. What I said is I was just homeless. I was homeless. I didn't want to lose nothing I had. I didn't want to come to jail and lose what I already didn't have, a home.
Okay, but your assumption is that by coming in to do probation, you would have been jailed. Had you done probation the way it was assigned to you, you wouldn't have been jailed. And if there was an accommodation that we need to make, either because of a medical situation or some other situation, that is something that the court would have considered. But the mere fact that you didn't do anything, you didn't come in at all, you didn't talk to us at all, and then you had contact with the person that you were not supposed to have contact with, despite the court telling you, hey, you're not supposed to have contact with that person. And that's how you ended up getting stabbed, because you went back to the person the court told you not to talk to. So, Mr. Keels, like I said, you're 27 years old. At some point, sir, you're gonna have to start making some good choices. When is a better time? I mean, you've been stabbed for hard-headedness. So at this time, the court will hear from Ms. Hadley. Had you talked to Mr. Austin? Is the 60 days something that y'all talked about? I know you're asking for less time, but the court's not inclined.
Yes, Mr. Austin informed me of the 60 days. Defense would still request less time. It was just a hard situation. I don't think he handled it the best way, but.
Are we admitting to the fact that not the underlying issues, but the fact that he was arrested?
That he was arrested for the new charge?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was arrested.
Okay, so the arrest itself presents a technical violation. Yeah, at this time, the court is inclined to revoke 60 days.
That's fine.
Okay, and Mr. Keels, sir, you've got to make better choices. The fact that you decided a job was more of a priority than staying out of jail and keeping that job tells me that you're not making the right choices. Okay. And so you got to start thinking through those things and to prioritize. To prioritize means you put first those.
There you go. I'll pause it for you for a second. Y'all go ahead and get your drool on. You're talking about taking a road trip to Clayton County, Georgia to go commit a crime. I bet Mr. Austin's married. And if he's not, I bet he's got a girlfriend, and I bet he's a good guy. I'm going to put dibs on that. I bet he's a really good guy. I bet he's good to his mama, too. Takes care of his mama. Yes, Helen, it's always somebody else's fault for why they're in there. Yeah, take your screenshot, Laura said. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's Saturday night, and this is what we're doing. We're pathetic. Crazy Casey. What the F? I bet he smells good too. If there wasn't any men at all on the chat or in watching this stream, they're gone now. Robin says, "I'll bring Exhibity." they're gonna go rent a tan Kia and get Marcus to chauffeur him over there. I bet old girl Stephanie knows how to find him. She probably already knows him. And freedom sandwiches for the road trip. No, we'll just show up at his office and get with donuts and get his autograph. That's really all you want, Nancy? Okay. I'm such a scaredy cat. That's all I do. Just can I have your autograph? He's about to get posted on my Facebook page. Oh, and oh wait, Crazy Casey says I don't see anything special about him. He's just hot, Casey. Oh, Kimmy will break it all down for you. Look, they're breaking it all. They can tell he's tall. He got that mean bad boy. Oh, you think he's mean looking? Yeah, but sometimes that's good. As long as he's not really mean. Oh my gosh, Kimmy, stop. Kimmy's getting nasty. All right, let's keep going.
Those things that are most important. Staying out of jail is most important, especially when you compare it to, well, I can go to probation and stay out of jail and keep a job versus I can just ignore the judge and the court and probation and keep a job. How long do you think that was going to last?
Yeah, I don't know. I said I contacted my PO.
Okay, you contact him for what? He didn't put you on probation, I did. And so if you contact him to tell him, well, you know, I'm not coming, he's not going to release you from probation. Only I can do that. And I'm not doing it because probation was the option of to put you on probation or send you to jail initially. So I had the option of sending you to jail initially. The sheriff assures me that he'll keep the jail open anytime I need to bring somebody there and put them there. But the whole point is to allow you to be out to conduct your life and to keep a job if you had one, but you didn't honor the agreement that we made. We clear?
Yeah, cause I didn't, I just want to add one question. I just want to know, do I get credit for already being here on since the 27th towards that 60 days?
Yes, sir. I will. I generally say credit since the date of lockup, but the jail ultimately determines credit. But on a probation revocation, yeah, I do give you credit since the date of lockup.
You know my release date because I have to.
I do not. You can ask them in the jail how they calculate that, but I do not know your release date. I just know that 60 days from the date you were locked up, then your case will be dismissed. Let me just be clear too, sir, that your case is still pending until you've served the 60 days. Don't have any contact with the person who is in this case. I understand that she may now have charges pending of her own. But please, the only contact you're permitted to have with her should be through the courts because you may be a witness to the case or something, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Hadley?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, anything else from anyone else?
No, ma'am.
All right, so 60 days to be revoked. You can go back with the sheriff. Thank you, sir.
All right, ma'am. Y'all
Somebody call the fire department. Kimmy needs to be put out.
have a good day.
All right, you two be safe. Mr. Adams, raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true? All right, so Mr. Adams, you can put your hand down, sir. So you're before the court on State of Georgia versus the Taurus Malik Adams, 2019 CR 05975 on a petition for revocation of probation. Sir, do you understand that we're having court by video because of the COVID-19 emergency? Do you agree to have your hearing by video? Okay, can you speak up a little bit for me? Okay. So sir, you're before the court on a petition for probation revocation. You pled guilty to battery, family violence, criminal trespass on the 3rd day of July, 2019. And you were sentenced to 12 months probation and you have 6 months and 2 days remaining. The sentence was tolled, which means we stopped the running of your sentence because we couldn't didn't have any contact with you. The probation department alleges that you were absent from reports on August 22nd, September 4th, September 12th, October 3rd, and December 9th of 2019, and you missed a report on December 31st of you missed the revocation hearing on December 31st of 2019.
Good gracious.
You last reported on July 23rd of 2019. You failed to comply with the court's order to go to family violence intervention, and you failed to pay. You currently have a total obligation of $270. Mr. Adams, where you been, sir?
Oh, I had before I was on probation. I live in Clark County, so I asked would I be able to switch it, but they were like no. So I really didn't have. I stayed out there with my girl. I can't be around my mom or my family, so I asked could I switch it. They told me no. So we don't have a car, so I really ain't have a reliable transportation to come back from Clark County all the way out there every month. So then I ain't know he was calling me. I didn't know.
Who was it calling you?
I left voicemails on my I also left voicemails on my probation officer his phone.
To tell him what?
Tell him that I wasn't gonna be able to make it. But I had started the family violence. I had started the classes though.
Mr. Austin, who's the alleged victim in his case?
It is.
I called him, we talked, we got disconnected, we talked.
You did what?
I said, no, I was saying like me and my mom, we cool. I don't be around them because that was my condition on the bond. Don't be around, so I had to move all the way to Mavericks where my girl stayed and one of my kids. I had to move out there with them. That's why.
How many children do you have, Mr. Adams?
I have 2 little girls.
How old are you, sir?
I'm 22.
Mr. Adams, you don't need to have no more children right now in the situation you're in. Are you working?
Yes, ma'am.
Where you working?
I work at General Wholesale. I drive forklifts.
Okay, so you can get to job, but you can't get on MARTA to court.
Nah, they don't have buses out there. I walk. Like my job like 30 minutes from my house, so I walk here every day.
He's hard to understand.
Right, literally down the street from my house. I work with the staff, automation staff. I walk to work every day. I had to pay bills, take care of my kids.
Okay, Mr.
Okay, y'all think he's paying child support? Come on now. He could be. He might be. He might be a good dad.
Austin, do you have a recommendation for Mr. Adams?
I do, ma'am. 60 days to serve and the case be closed.
So, Mr. Adams, here's the issue. You're a father, and you're out on your own. You're grown. You're 22 years old. You have to understand that when you have obligations to the court, whatever else you have going on other than your children, you need to prioritize that, because you have a job, but you may lose this job for being in jail for not coming to Mr. Austin and saying, hey, these are my circumstances. You understand?
Ma'am.
You have to prioritize what the court orders you to do. And you haven't done any of the things that I've asked you to do. You have a job, so presumably you could have afforded to go to the family violence intervention program. I don't care where you do it as long as it's court certified. So had you made that known to us, you could have done it in Cobb County near where you live.
Good night, Laura.
But sir, I'm going to need you to grow up, because you cannot rely on, well, I just can't do it, or I just didn't, I couldn't make it. That's not sufficient for a court. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So sir, I'm going to sentence you to 60 days. Upon the completion of 60 days in jail, then your case will be dismissed. You understand?
Yeah.
All right, you can go back with the sheriff's office. All right, and so how many? Mr. Gooden.
Maybe he has an OnlyFans page, Kimmy. I doubt it.
Good game. Okay, so step up to the podium, pull your mask down and talk, and then when you get ready to leave, back up.
Raise your right hand for me, Mr. Gooden. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gooden, you're before the court on a petition for revocation of probation. You're before the court on case 2019 CR 09159. And 1 second, sir, let me pull up your revocation.
Oh, congratulations on your new puppy, Barbara.
You sent this petition a couple of days ago, Mr. Austin, correct? I got it.
Yes, I sent it on May 1st, man.
I got it. So, Mr. Gooden, it's reported, sir, you before the court because you pled guilty to possession of marijuana, 1 ounce or less, and on the 26th day of November 2019, you were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 9 months and 13 days remaining. Your sentence was told because we lost track of you. So it means we stopped the running of your sentence until we find you. It says you failed to report. You were directed to report on February 12th of 2020 for a revocation hearing. And you also failed to report on December 4th of 2019, January 6th of 2020, January 13, January 16, January 27th, all of 2020. You failed to pay. You were directed to pay your $300 in arrears, and you failed to pay any of that, but you have a total obligation of $785. Where you been, Mr. Gooden?
Ma'am, I was visiting my father. He was he was sick and like heart problems. And from January I know this doesn't count, but I just did 70 days in Fulton County. But for that time that I was missing from going to probation, I was visiting my father.
Where's your father?
Carrollton County, Bowden, Georgia.
Okay, so do they not have phones there?
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Did you not think stop by the probation office before you left and say, hey, Mr. Austin, my father's having heart issues. I need to go see him. I may miss a report or two.
I didn't, ma'am.
How old are you, sir?
I'm 27.
All right, so Mr. Gooden, at 27, you should be able to think better than you thinking, sir. Because it just doesn't make any sense when you know that one of the main, and I say this all the time, the quickest way to get rearrested is to miss a probation report.
Yes, ma'am.
You've missed several with no excuse. It wasn't like we were asking you to do a whole lot.
I came to the first one, and then after that, I had got a phone call saying he was in dire need. So I went down to
Yeah, but somewhere between getting that phone call to visit your daddy, you had time to spend at Rice Street.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I mean, I know your dad's situation was probably serious, but Rice Street got you. So what I'm saying, Mr. Gooden, is, and this is something you need to carry into the rest of your life, when you put off responding to something like a court notice or a court summons or a court obligation, then you end up in jail. The quickest way to stay out of jail, especially under these circumstances, would have been to come in and say, Mr. Austin, I need to work something out. I got this thing hanging over my head at Rice Street. My dad's sick. What can I do?
Yes, ma'am.
Instead, you forget about all those things and walk away from your obligations, and you end up in jail. Mr. Austin, do you have a recommendation?
I do, ma'am. 30 days to serve. I'll be released on a payment of $785.
Hi, Serenity.
All right.
Welcome.
So, Mr. Gooden, recommendation Mr. Austin made.
Well, ma'am, like I said, I've been incarcerated since February the 14th. I haven't been free at all. And I just out of Fulton County, so I don't have any money at the moment. Like, I just paid like a $800 bond in Fulton County to get out, and then I found I had got news here upon my probation revocation. And I just asked, man, for just one more chance. Like, I haven't even seen the light of day. Like,
Mr. Gooden, sir, that chance would have been all day, every day. If you had come in January or December or February or any of those days that you were summoned to come to court. But at this time, sir, we just need to go ahead and get this over with. So the court is going to revoke 30 days, or under the provision that if you were able to pay the $785, that is your total obligation, then the court would make it contingent upon you paying that. So you'll do whichever comes first, payment of $785 or 30 days. Once you've served the 30 days or paid the $785, then the court will dismiss your case. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
All right. But Mr. Gooden, from now on, sir, understand that when you run from things, they will catch up with you, and you're going to end up spending more time in jail trying to avoid things. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
You got to grow up, sir. You're 27 years old.
Yeah, boy.
You got to learn how to handle your obligations. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can go.
Be funny if sometimes she goes, look, if you're going to be a criminal, at least be a good criminal. Don't be a dumb criminal. You got caught in that other county too. What's wrong with you?
Go back with the sheriff. Now, your attorney is present, and everybody else who needs to be in a hearing is present. Sir, you are charged with, on the case 2019 CR 02109, State of Georgia versus Jerry Antonio Williams. Excuse me. With simple battery and disorderly conduct. You have the right to enter a plea of not guilty. And if you did that, you could have a trial by jury or judge. Now, I can't assure you when the trial time would be, but if bond is an issue, we could have bond considered before your, in an effort to assuage your feelings that you'll be in jail for a long time, okay? So if you wish to plead not guilty, you have that right, and we will hear your case and arrange for a trial at the appropriate time. Because of the emergency, I can't give you a particular date, but because of that, we will consider bond or a modification of bond if necessary. Mr. Lynch, what is your client pleading to the offenses of simple battery and disorderly conduct?
Your Honor, my understanding through negotiation with the state is that it would be a no-low plea to disorderly conduct, and that the state had agreed to null pros count 1 in exchange for that plea.
All right.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. So the plea for count 1 is no contest. For count 2, the state will null pros.
Well, I think count.
No, Your Honor, the state will null pros count 1.
Okay, null pros count 1. And count 2 is a no contest. Thank you.
Disorderly.
All right. So I'll hear from the state at this time.
On February 13th, 2019, Officer Rucker responded to the Perry Center Open Campus in Jonesboro, Georgia, Clayton County, regarding a physical fight. He made contact with the victim, Jared Jefferson, who stated that at dismissal, he was walking to his bus. He did observe an unknown student, later identified as Mr. Williams, walking behind him, attempting to sneak punch him. He stated that the student, Mr. Williams, did hit him, and they began to fight. The officer did speak with the GED coordinator, who stated that Mr. Williams was advised that he could not, that he could only attend his GED classes on the adult education side, and he was not to mix with the open campus students. At that time, he was taken into custody and charged with simple battery and disorderly conduct. The state has agreed to null pros the simple battery, and the plea recommendation for disorderly conduct is 12 months to serve, 15 days with the balance suspended, with the condition that he does not return to the Perry Center Open Campus, and he has no contact with the victim, Jared Jefferson.
And Your Honor, you're muted.
Mr. Lynch?
Yes, Your Honor, that was my understanding. I would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. I believe Mr. Williams is still 19 years old. I know he was when we started this case. No, am I wrong about that? How old are you now?
I'm 19 now.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Oh, you were way younger when this started. I apologize. He's 19 years old now. And you know, he did a bench warrant on this case. My understanding is that he didn't have a stable place to live due to some issues. So he initially did, I think, a day or so in custody when he was arrested, and then he's been in since the 22nd, since he was picked up. I would ask that he get credit for the time that he served in the Clayton County Jail on this. And other than that, I would just ask the court accept the plea.
Hey, Darlene.
So you're saying that he's already served the 15 days?
No, I think he served maybe 12 or 13.
So credit since the date of lockup?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor. All right. So, Mr. Williams, did you get your GED?
No, ma'am. I had one more test left. I had finished my history, my ELA, and my science. All I had was math left. But the story that they were talking about it was all wrong.
Okay. Well, if you get out, do you think you'll be able to finish it? Like, will they still credit you what you did and then you just finish the math part?
Oh, yes, ma'am. But I won't be going here. I'm going to Parks and Nursing Home.
Okay, but they'll still give you credit for what you did at Perry.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm gonna need you to finish that, sir. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's important for your job prospects and what goes forward. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And you came too close to just drop it. So you need, as soon as you get out, at least call and find out what you need to do.
Oh, I've already did that. I already know exactly what I have to do.
Okay, don't mess up. So I will accept your plea of no contest to count 2. Count 1, it will be no pros per the motion of the state. I'll send you to 12 months to serve 15 days credit since the date of lockup. The balance will be suspended as long as you don't go back on the campus of Perry Learning Center and that you don't have any contact with Jared Jefferson. Is it Jefferson?
I don't know who he is.
Oh. I got you. All
Yes,
right.
Your Honor, it's Jefferson.
Okay, so you can go back with the sheriff's office, but you need to make sure that you finish that GED. You understand? All right, thank you.
I'll make my sandwich.
Am I muted? Hey, sure, that's great advice. If you have a puppy and it bumps its head, the hole never closes up on them because their heads are still, I guess they're still developing or whatever, their skulls are. And the babies can have seizures. So you put a little jelly on their tongue and it brings their blood sugar back up. I never heard that. That's pretty cool. Barbara, we'll be praying for you, honey, when you have your eye surgery. But don't worry, it's going to be fine. You'll be fine. You'll do great. And I heard that it's like you bounce back pretty quickly from those. You just got to get used to having only one eye at a time for a little bit. All right, you guys. Well, it's been great hanging out with you ladies this evening. We did end up having a ladies' night. We didn't have one guy in the chat. Kimmy probably scared him off. That's all it takes is Kimmy. And then that's how she's on the prowl. Oh, Chihuahuas. The Chihuahuas, the hole never closes up. Is that why they end up being so mean? I love Chihuahuas. They're my favorite breed. They are my favorite. As I sit here and say hello to Mr. Bruiser. All right, you guys. Well, I will talk to y'all soon. I probably won't have anything on tomorrow, but I'll have something on Monday. So thank you for being here with me, and thanks for chatting with me, you guys. No, it's not time for the Men of Waukesha review. I wasn't ready for a Men of Waukesha review, Kimmy. I'll have to do something special for you some night. This was fun. It was different. I enjoyed it. So thanks, you guys. Please help me by spreading my videos. If you can share them on your social media, that'd be a great help. I appreciate you all. Because the views are not going to be coming in with me not doing as much on Scrappy Doo, because he was nothing but a everybody. I could put one video up on something that's not Daryl Brooks and it gets 300 views. I put something up that's Daryl Brooks and it gets 5,000 views. It's crazy. It's crazy. No, I didn't look at those recipes. All right. Well, y'all be good. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Good night, everybody. Thank you again, Casey. And thank you, Janice, again.